Hello, and welcome to Sit and Knit for a Bit. I'm your host, Melissa. You can find me on Ravelry at Aurora Evermore. This is my third time trying to take this. Originally, I tried to leave the door open, let the dogs kind of come and go. And of course, they got rough, and the floorboards, when they run in here, makes the camera shake. And there is a cat still in here, so you might hear some rustling. She's messing with a little bag on the floor. But anyway. Today I have some FOs, I have some whips, and I even have some new cast-ons. So that's finished objects, works in progress, and obviously some cast-ons. And I even have some ideas for some new upcoming projects that I want to talk about. And then I'll finish with, I know I usually talk about like what book I'm reading or what shows I'm watching or something like that. But I think I'm going to switch it a little bit, or maybe improve it a little bit more. I want to do an actual like book review of either a book I've read or listened to on Audible. So we'll see how it goes. If you guys don't like it, let me know. If you're kind of like, I don't really care, I'm here for knitting. Now I do save that type of stuff towards the end, and I always let you know I'm done with the knitting. Now we're going to get into the other stuff, so that way you can sign off. But okay, today I am drinking just some flavored energy water with apparently some fuzzy animal hair. I think we'll start with the finished objects. And the finished objects are the washcloths I was knitting for the air show. So I have two of them that are being blocked. I finished the green one. They're Packer colors, by the way, yesterday, but I blocked them both yesterday. I just had this one kind of just sitting waiting. So yay. I have no idea if it's showing up well on the camera for you guys. So those are being blocked, but pretty much done. I'll get these out of the way. And this canister is all the other ones. And I know I've briefly kind of showed you guys some of them last time at least. I'm not going to show you each and every single one, but other than those two that are being blocked, here they are. I am in search for a good sized box to ship them. There are 3 different patterns in here. One of them was free on Ravelry. That was this. And then the other 2, I kind of just looked at pictures and drew up my own like dot graph for them. And this is the jet one. So, yay! There's 30, so really technically it's 28 right here. I'm super happy to have them done. I didn't mind making them. I'm happy I made them. I hope they do well with selling. If not, it's still okay. But washcloth yarn is really, at least for me, I don't know, maybe I done a tighter knit or something. I really seem to struggle. I kind of have to fight it. It's not easy flowing, and so it causes me a lot of hand and wrist pain, and so I was having to like space it out and only knit if I was feeling good. Like the last one I was working on yesterday, I only I wanted to get it finished because I wanted to cast on a new project, but I told myself I couldn't cast that on until I finished these. But anyway, I only did 30 minutes at a time. So I actually set a timer. I'm like, only work on it for 30 minutes. And then I got up and went and did like a chore for an hour. And then I came back and worked on it. So, but yes, super happy they're done. Not sure if I'll make a couple extras. These are just the exact amount for the order. I might make a couple extras. We'll see. Probably not. Because I'm like, I have a huge knitting mojo lately. Oh, there's the cat. That's Nina. If you watched every episode of my show, you've definitely seen her before. She's in a couple of them. But there's I have a lot of knitting mojo right now, and I want to knit for myself a lot. So I've got a lot of projects I want to get going. All right. Just get that out of the way. The other It's not really a finished object because it's only one, because it's a sock. And no, I'm not having second sock syndrome. I will get it going shortly. This is a pair of socks for a coworker of mine. Oh, it's still hooked up, that's why. And I have only been working on it while I'm taking the dogs for their WALK, their walk. So these are not my hiking socks. Those are that self-striping, weird, funky, striping colored socks. Those are in a different bag. And anyway, last time I talked about, like, oh, maybe I'll cast on a new pair of socks for my coworker. So if you watched that video, you know what I'm talking about. And I did. And I already got one done. She wanted them super short. And actually I had made it really short and then had her try it on, which is why there's a paper clip, because I work in an office to hold the, you know, the place of the yarn, because I haven't strung it through yet. And she's like, can you make it a little bit taller? And I was like, not a problem. So I undid the bind off and then knit the cuff twice as big and then bound off again, and she tried it on and she said she liked it. This yarn, I could not tell you, it was actually leftover yarn from another project. It was actually one of the very first, actually it might have been the very first yarn, like authentic hand-dyed yarn I bought. I actually bought it in Wisconsin. I bought it for a like fall colored shawl. Or yeah, it's a shawl. Yeah, it's kind of like a scarfish type shawl. But yes. So there's that. I have it in this bag that has, you know, I just loop it around across my body. And because she wanted them so short, I went down a size when I did the cuff of my needles, so they'll be a little bit tighter, so hopefully they won't fall down as much, because I was fearing that was going to happen, especially how short she wanted them. So, okay. The other thing I haven't been working on a ton is my sweater, my purple sweater, which is the, I always call it Simply, but I think it's the Real Easy Raglan. Worked on it a little bit, went to another campfire. The window was blowing the other way so it doesn't smell too smoky. So just on the body, just, whoo, I did drop it on the grass. And the dog hair and all the other stuff. It did fall onto the ground. So there's probably more. But just getting the body going. Nothing too exciting. It's one of my, I worked on it a little bit while I was studying for a test. Gotta get them all done then. Because, yeah, I think I was only like an inch away from the armhole. So I got a couple inches done while studying. So not too bad. So I will get it finished. And that is being housed in this lovely bag. And you know me, I don't know where I got any of these bags usually. Or the names of them. Or this one was probably Amazon. It's got, I like the color and it's got llamas on it. And all the pockets. I love pockets. Nina, you're just going to have to stay in here. Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about was kind of a big subject. I'm going to drink something. And that is all my ideas for my scrappy yarn. All my scrappy sock yarn. I love sock yarn. It's just easy. You just buy a hank of it. You knit some socks. You're good. Like, socks are easy. I knit lots of socks or shawls. I love working with fingering weight yarn. It's easy on my hands as opposed to like the cotton or bigger yarns. I've actually noticed that some of the stuff, every time I try a bigger yarn, I don't know, I have trouble with it. So anyway, so I already have my Cozy Memory blanket, which is the little metered squares, and I have been working on that, and I'll show you that in just a second. And then that doesn't take up all the scraps usually. And so what I've been doing is after I put in a square on that, then I have whatever ball I have left over, I'm actually putting into my Christmas Advent calendar, which I point over here because the bins are over there. once again, if you want to know more about that, 2 videos ago I have a little like special video about that. But that is where I'm making my own little like Christmas bags. I'm gonna open. It's gonna have a ball of yarn. Yes, it's yarn that I've knit with, but they're random, and at this point I don't even know which ones are in which ones. And we're still more than 6 months out, so by the time Christmas comes, I'm like, yeah, I know there's lots of blues in there, and I like all the yarn, so it's gonna be fun. And then I'm gonna make a scarf with that. Well, I know that still won't use up the rest of the yarn, and so my idea is, so what I usually end up doing is I put it in here. Now the balls in here are, I had taken some of the yarn from this, made a smaller ball and put it in the advent calendar, but then I was like, but then what if you don't use all of that, and then you only have 2 small balls, and so I've just been putting the whole ball in there. So my idea is when I'm done with every Christmas advent calendar, I'll take all of the extra yarn, no matter how much it is, and I am going to connect them and cake it up, put it in a cake. And I'm going to try to be really random on the colors. But also I want to do, like you see, I have one ball that's got a lot of yarn left over, and then I have a ball that doesn't have a lot of yarn. So I do want to try to like interchange it, if I can, but still keep it random so it's not super serious. But I don't want to have like 5 big balls, big balls, and then 10 little balls. Yeah, I'm going to try to stagger them, but make a nice cake of them, and then just knit like a garter stitch blanket. I know it's going to take me a long time, and here I am going to have another scrappy blanket, but and then continue on. So next year, whatever, or so like this, since I'm almost done putting the yarn in for this upcoming year's advent calendar, once all those are full, then all the yarn that I have left over from whatever projects this year until I make the next year's advent calendar, put a square in the meter square blanket, and then set it aside for next year's advent calendar. And then when that advent calendar is over, make another cake. And then throughout that following year, I will be putting that into the other scrappy blanket and just use up the yarns. Now, if there's a project that I really, that calls for scrappy yarn or something, obviously I can take it. This is for the yarns that's just sitting around not doing anything. So I know that's probably a little confusing, me explaining, because I'm talking about like 3 different projects. I've got metered square, then it goes into that year's advent calendar, then after that advent calendar, then it will be caked up and then go into just another garter stitch blanket. Pretty much. And just do that every year until forever. So that's the idea. This jar actually sits on the top of the shelving behind me, and I just like throw a ball up there. It was what I was doing when I did put a square on the metered blanket, and then I just threw the balls in here. So when I was making my own advent calendar, I pulled them from there. So I will have a post-advent calendar collection tin something, bowl, jar, whatever. I haven't figured that out yet. So speaking of the metered square blanket, since I'm almost done getting the advent calendar ready, hopefully I use 25 colors every year, and maybe one year I'll only have like 12, and I'll just do the 12 days of Christmas advent calendar or something, or buy some yarn, or whatever, it doesn't matter. I almost caught up. This is the original, well, not really the original, but this is my usual bag for my metered square, and this thing was full of yarn that I needed to add, and now is almost empty. Now the project's not in here, but you can see there's not much in there. I've got two more to add in. So that was one of the things I wanted to get done this year, was to get caught up on this cozy memory blanket, because I haven't touched it in years up until recently. So I've been working on it feverishly because I've been really enjoying it. And like I said, once I'm done putting a square on, then I can put that yarn for this year's advent calendar. So it has definitely grown. I think I've got the width right. I could always add in a new layer. I really need to work on this one. I try to space out the colors. As you can see, I like a lot of blues, and so there is going to be a lot of blues, but I try to have them where they're, you know, when I do have a different color, to kind of mix it up a little bit. Right now I'm adding one of my favorite yarns. I made, that was my holiday shawl that I made last year. And there's not much left of it, which makes me super sad. I will have enough for the advent calendar this upcoming winter, but probably not a lot to go into the garter stitch scrap blanket. I'll have to come up with a name for that one because this is the metered square clothes and memory blanket. But anyway, so I'm kind of like, oh, I want more. It's this beautiful, like, I don't know. It makes me think of like mermaids, and it's sparkly. I doubt the sparkles are showing up for you guys, but oh, and it's so soft and squishy and just lovable. So I currently have this project in this bag because I've been taking it to school and I wanted a smaller bag than the other one. But soon, because I'm almost caught up, it'll go back into the regular bag and I'll have to take something else to school. Probably socks. Plus I need some more yarn for a sock, or for these, so I gotta get some socks going. If you saw in this bag, there is, let me move my drink because it is red and it will stain yarn, trust me. I've got a bunch of really tiny balls. Now, I think what I did is I weighed, a couple times ago, I had like a leftover cake like this, or whatever you call this. That's a cake. I weighed it, then did a square, and then weighed it again and did the math. And I think each square was like 15 grams. Because my squares are a little bit bigger. And so some of these are not 15 grams worth, and so they're a little small. And so what I thought about doing is, originally I was like, well, I'll just do like knit up to a certain point and then just add in a new color. But then I also noticed that on the sides I have like a V, a cutout here. And I saw somebody else, because she was kind of doing the same style I am, where it goes up like this. I don't mind it on the bottom or the top. I like the zigzags on the bottom and top, but just not the sides. And so I figured I'd do a triangle. I'll have to figure out how to do it. I'm gonna have to mess with it. I don't know if I pick up and then need to decrease, or I'm gonna have to mess with it and see. But I could use, since these are smaller, I can use these to fill in those little, you know, triangles, those half. Well, a triangle is half a square. And that way I'm still using these up. And then whatever I don't use, it probably won't be the size enough for the advent calendar, but then I could always just put it into the garter stitch blanket. So yes, I am keeping track of these, and I'll do that. So that's my idea. I really went tall on that one, didn't I? But like I said, I was trying to space. I didn't want this one close to this one because they're so close together. And then the same with, I didn't want this one close to that one because they're kind of close on color. So I was trying to space it out, and the only square easy spot I could put it was all the way up here. And it's fine. It really is. It's not going to make any difference. Yeah. Okay. So that is all like the scrap whip and ideas and future stuff going on. a lot of the squares on there, the yarn is actually in, I use as decor. I have a lamp on an end table that it's like a glass, it is a glass jar, the lamp, you know, the bottom part of the lamp, and I have balls of yarn in there. And then there's other stuff. I have some glass like pitchers and stuff like that that I've put balls in, or little tiny hanks, stuff like that. And so those are being used for something else. They're being used for decoration. Okay. Oops. Knitting needle. I think the last thing I have knitting wise is to talk about my newest cast on. I'm so excited. I've been waiting for a long time to cast this on, and I'm so excited. I finally cast it on last night because I finished those airplane washcloths, and I told myself I could not cast it on until I did that. I'm thinking I'm gonna sneeze. Maybe not. Oh, it's that tickle. This is a shawl, and I'm using, it's going to be a purple version. And let me show you the pattern first. It calls for one regular, it's all sock weight, one regular hank of socks, so it was at 400 yards, and then 5 minis, and the minis I'm using are scrap yarn. So this is the Swan Maiden shawl. It is on Ravelry. It is a paid for pattern, but it was like, last time I checked it was like $3, or maybe it was the other one, but anyway, super cheap. Oh, speaking of advent calendar, I've already picked out my pattern for next year and paid for it. So this year I'm creating my own, and next year it's like a cowl. I was watching a YouTube video and podcast, and the person I was watching, she talked about this one. I was like, oh, that will work. So anyway, and it actually is 25 colors, I think. Yes, so it will work perfect for advent calendar. So that's next year's, but that'll be a whole another video in about a year. Anyway, the shawl the Swan Maiden shawl. I don't know how well it's showing up. My printer is not the best, but absolutely gorgeous. I've been eyeing it. I do want to make it in a blue. When I was picking the color for it, I didn't have a lot of blue scrap yarn at the time that kind of went together, which was kind of weird. Usually I have a lot of blue. I don't know. But I ended up having a lot of purple, and I was like, fine, we'll make a purple one. And if I like it, I'll make a blue one later. So it starts off with just the scrappy yarn. So I think this is a sock. And of course, I'm in the middle of a row. I'm so sorry. There is some of the prime, she called it the contrast color. But I absolutely love, I'm sorry, I think something moved and I freaked out. I absolutely love this scrap yarn that I'm using right now. I think it's a pair of socks. Beautiful. And whatever I have left over this will go into this Christmas's advent calendar. I actually have some of them spaced out where I haven't put anything in there, because that way I can add in some of the purples that have been waiting for this project. So I guess I'll show you the scrap yarn first, just to get them out of the way, because we're already talking about that. I don't know the names of anything. Sorry. They're scrap yarns. The one I'm working on right now is this beautiful, it's blowing out. By the way, I'm wearing purple and my bra strap keeps showing. And then I will go into this color, which I think is actually a pair of the socks I was wearing today. And then I'll go into this color. Or maybe I was wearing a pair of purple socks today, and I don't remember which purple they were. And then I'll jump into this one, and this one I know. This is Knit Picks Stroll. I don't know the colorway. Okay. And then this one for the end. Not super excited about this one, but I think it'll look cute, especially since if you look, this will be the really, really dark blue that she's got in there, so I think it will work perfect. This was a pair of socks for my mom. She picked that color out from my stash. So this is kind of how I keep switching it around. These will go. See? Okay. For it being scrap and not having many choices, I think it's going to work just fine. And then the contrast color, which is kind of like the main color, I picked up this. I'm using stuff that I had in stash. I did not buy anything for this, so things are not perfect, but I think it'll be just fine. Is this one? It's blowing out again. It's a little bit more gray purple, but then it's got all these different like speckles in it, and when I was caking it up, I was like, oh my god, this would be so gorgeous as a pair of socks. I can't believe I'm using this for this project. I was like, no. You have lots of socks. You have lots of purple socks. It's fine. If you really like it, you could buy another one. But I think that'll be pretty. I was trying to go for more of a white background with a little bit of purple, and that's all I had available over there in fingering. I do have the ball band for that. That is Tina's Twisted Fibers. Here is the front of her. I'm too close to the window today. And her color Sombre. It is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and it's 463 yards fingering weight. And I don't know if I got this in Wisconsin or from the lady that passed away and I got stuff real cheap. I don't know. I can tell you. So this project is being housed in this lovely bag I haven't used in a while. And it's got my pin on it that says knit fast, dye warm. Love this bag. I've had to wash it, and so it's not like super clean anymore. Because even washing it didn't get all the stains out, but I don't think you can tell. But that's my Notions tin rattling around in there. So yes, that is. Ooh, I cast it on last night and it's been going to town on it. I've been looking so forward to working on this project that I don't want to put it down. And in fact, I almost didn't podcast today because I was like, I just want to go home and, sit down and work on that. But I will as soon as I'm done. Okay. I think that is it for the knitting side of things. So if you don't want to listen to my rambling on about my book review or my life, then I would go ahead and sign off. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. And hello to those who stayed. Let me get another drink real quick. I was out doing some kind of yard work. Not really. Ugh, it's thirsty. As I have chapstick on my lips, and so now dog hair and fuzzies are probably yarn hair is sticking to me. Okay, guess we'll do book review first. So today I want to review a book that it's my favorite book. I have read it so many times I cannot count, because a lot of times I have read it that I've never really finished again, because I've read it so much that I have it memorized, and I get in the mood to read it, and I'll get about halfway through, and then I'll buy a new book, and I'm like, ooh, I'll read that one, because I know how this ends. But sometimes it's just nice to kind of go back to a friend, and so I'll just pick it up and just kind of read it again. All the way through, I probably read it 8 times. I've probably started it 20 times. If that makes sense. Like last time I was reading it, I have no idea where I left off. I did get pretty far, but anyway. It is Memoirs of a Geisha by Arthur Golden. I was like, I knew his name started with an A. I was going to call him Andy, though. It is a movie, but like always, I suggest reading the book first and then watching the movie. My copy is so old. It is falling apart and it makes me really sad. I do not want to buy a new one because it is my friend. I mean, it's got a spot that it's like the binding is broken. It's very sad. I'm probably gonna end up like using tape on this soon. And I try to take care of it, but oh my gosh. Real quick before I talk about the book. When I was in high school, I had an English teacher and she brought her favorite book in. It was Gone with the Wind. And her copy was so old and she read it so many times that it was like curled up on itself and she had it like bound with a rubber band. This will be that book someday. Anyway, and she's like, I hope you guys get to the point in your life that you liked reading so much and you find a book that you love so much that you've read it so many times. And I was like, you know what? I would love to love a book that much. And years later, I finally, after reading this book a bunch of times, I finally came to the conclusion. I was like, wait a minute. Remember that teacher who talked about that? That's what's happening with me with this book. I love this book. So, and I'm not saying it's for everybody. I love the way it's written, and I love the main character. It supposedly is a memoir about a geisha right that during World War II in Japan, and when she's an older lady, and there's a little like author's note, when she's an older lady, she apparently did interviews with the author of the book, and he decided to write up her story. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I like to believe it is. I really do. But anyway, so if you don't know, a geisha is not a prostitute. It actually means artist, and so that's the great thing about this book is it teaches you this new world, if especially if you're from America like I am, about what Japan was like back then. At least her, what she experienced, and it is different. It is, and I remember I was having to like look up stuff. I'm like, what the heck is she talking about? Like their gowns, like how they wore their gowns, because she would explain about it, and I wasn't really understanding what an obi was, which is OBI, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And so I would have to look it up and see a picture. I'm like, oh, she's talking about that part of their get up. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. But anyway, and so the story is, and I'm trying not to give anything away, so I recommend reading it. It's really good. And if you don't want any spoilers, don't listen. I'm not going to give away a whole bunch, but I'm going to kind of just give you kind of like a summary, okay? It's about a girl, obviously, who is sold into pretty much like slavery to a house called an okiya that raises and teaches and how, and keeps geisha and like hires geisha, I guess, and they live with them, but part of their income goes to the household. Like I said, it's a very interesting way of living. And the geisha make money by entertaining gentlemen, because back in that day, at least, usually every marriage was an arranged marriage, and so the men were not happy with their wives because they did not choose their wives. They didn't love their wives, and so they would spend their evenings pretty much like what us Americans would do, like bar hopping, but to them was tea houses, and they would drink sake. And anyway, and they would have these geisha just entertain them, but in a very dignified way, so not like a strip club. And once again, you have to be open-minded to it, because they would just pour them drinks and talk to them, so like a party. And the men would pay, a certain like an hourly fee for this, and it was, you know, little raunchy little jokes and stuff like that. And the geisha would either sing or dance or play, you know, instruments if called for or whatever. There's all different stuff. And it was just nice for a gentleman, even though he was married, to have a nice pretty lady, you know, next to him when they were going to the theater or whatever, you know. Anyway, well, she sold into a household that houses these type of people, and it's just her struggles of not wanting to be there, wanting to go back home, but then finally, you know, and just all that, and the cruelty that was treated towards, you know, the lower people, the status. She's just a girl, she's just a servant, who cares about her, don't mind her or whatever. She ends up falling in love, and so it ends up really being a love story. And just all the trials and errors of her just trying to survive, really, and be with the person that she loves. And it's really well written. The main character, who, like I said, I really hope that she was a true person, and this is her real story. And I get it. Things are going to be, you know, different. And, you know, it even says that the names are different. But I really hope that if she wasn't real, I'm like, oh my god. But anyway, good story. Like I said, I don't want to give away a whole bunch, but and the movie's good too. They did a really good job on the movie. In fact, like I said, I had to look up stuff. I think it was before I had internet in my house or whatever. I started reading, and when when she was describing the wardrobe and stuff like that, there's something I wasn't understanding. I actually put the movie in and watched up until the part that I had read, which obviously, you know, book and movie are not always the same, but it was good enough. And I was like, oh, that's what she's describing. I'm like, because I'm an American, you know, 20-year-old, I didn't understand what she was trying to explain. Now, she's very good at explaining things, but anyway, I'm rambling. So that is my number one recommendation for today. So yeah, let me know if you've read it or want to read it or are going to read it, and when you do, if you like it or not. Or, you know, like I said, everybody's different. I'm not expecting everybody to like it, and I'm not telling you to read it, but it is my number one favorite book. What else has been happening? Graduation's coming closer. I have 8 weeks left of school. Spring break ends today. But just gotta plow through those 8 weeks and get them done. Spring is here. I did gardening last week. I need to mow later today. We had a lot of rain, and so the grass and stuff is really soggy, so I'm gonna mow like at the very end of the day. I'm hoping that the sun is out, so I'm hoping the sun helps dry up at least the grass. My lawnmower is electric, and so it's not super heavy, so it shouldn't sink down into the ground. I've mowed after rain before, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem, but if I can wait a few hours to let things dry out, I'm going to. Plus, I need to scoop the dog poop, and scooping wet dog poop is hard. It's really messy. So, but yes, when I'm done talking to you guys, I'm going to go sit outside and work on my new swan shawl. And probably watch some podcasts. Yeah, that's been about it. Just getting stuff ready for graduation. I ordered my cap and gown. I'm sending out invitations. Just all the crazy stuff. I'm really looking forward to not being in school anymore. I can spend more time knitting. So yeah, I think that's about it. Everybody's been doing well. Just knitting, reading. I've been doing a lot of reading. I'm reading The Fellowship of the Ring, Lord of the Rings. About halfway through with that one. It's pretty good. I mean, I've seen the movie, so it kind of is like, okay, I kind of know what happens, but there is other stuff in the books that don't happen in the movie, so it's still kind of like, oh, that's different. And things happen a little differently too, so that helps, but it's still kind of like, oh, I already know. So it's kind of like, dang it, I wish I read it before I watched the movies, but it's okay. Alright, well, I'm going to get going because I am desperate to go knit and enjoy the wonderful weather, so I will talk to you guys later. Bye.